Hello and welcome again to my YouTube channel. This is my last of 3 videos for today. So I usually do my trilogy. This is my third one. And this one is going to be focused on Harry's revelations in his book about himself. And so what did I learn from Harry? Well, one of the things I thought was so cute is how he calls his dad Pa. Like he's on Little House on the Prairie or something. It's so cute, Pa. Remember how Laura Ingalls, I mean, assuming you are of the generation, Laura Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie, she called her dad Pa. That's like so cute, right? So that was cute. What else? Well, he said that he killed 25 people in Afghanistan. I didn't read the book. I don't know the context. Out of context, um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he should have gone into that. I'm not sure. I mean, it seems like a lot of people have a big problem with it. I'm not sure, so I don't really have much comment there. So he also said, apparently in the book, that he asked William to leave after William beat him down in his house in 2019 when they were having a fight over Megan. Can you hear that? That's outside. Um, and so he said that he asked William to leave. And it's funny how I spoke about this before in maybe 2 different videos, but how everybody expects Harry to have kept the secret of this fight and all of the other sort of, not so fabulous things that go on in his family. And I don't think it's reasonable to expect a 40-year-old man or 38-year-old man to keep a secret that he was assaulted by his 41-year-old brother. I think if they were children, like, 7 and 8 and 9 and 10, which we all fought with our siblings. Who didn't? I did. I fought with my siblings. But to fight with my siblings now as an adult woman is a totally different thing. I mean, this is assault, right? And the idea that you have to keep these dirty little secrets just because, well, he's the future king of England, and, to have so many people talking about the fact that he's a traitor, and you're listening, okay, but are you saying that he's a liar? And no one's saying that he's lying about being assaulted, but he's a traitor because he didn't keep the secret is very, very troubling. I mean, it says that these people have a kind of mindset about life and about this British royal family that's very unhealthy, something that they are not aware of, something that they need help to think that your reaction is you're a traitor because you should keep it a secret that your brother beat you up. I mean, if Harry had stayed in England with Meghan, and this is the kind of interaction he's having with his older brother, the future king, this could have ended in tragedy for someone in that family, because there's a lot of violence. And if you're punching someone and you're in your 40s and you're punching someone, it's very serious. I mean, it says either you are out of control and you cannot control your violence at all, or you're in a situation that is so high octave that it potentially could lead to tragedy. And for the British people or anybody else, whether they're British or not, to say that William was right to beat up his brother at 40 years old, to beat his brother because he doesn't like his brother's choice in wife. Um, I think they need to get their heads examined. I mean, that's something very, very serious. I don't think that's something that you congratulate someone about. I mean, that's something that you worry about, because also, is he hitting his wife? Because, I mean, a violent man is a violent man, I mean, a violent woman is a violent woman, okay, but a violent woman cannot do the kind of collateral damage that a violent man can do, right? And a man who at 40, 41 is inclined to punch another person to the ground, and he's not on a bar, he's not drunk, he's not on drugs, he's a rational human being, he's a future king. It's not normal. It's not normal, and it's completely not normal to expect Harry to keep such a secret, because it's toxic and it's also dangerous, even for William. If William has a problem with controlling his violent tendencies, he needs help, obviously. So I think a public outing is actually maybe something that might save him from making a very tragic mistake. I mean, I don't know. Um, Harry also revealed that he used drugs, including cocaine, apparently. I haven't read the book, but that's what I read online. And okay, I mean, and he said it didn't make him happy, thankfully, because, I don't need my little Harry, being a cocaine addict. I mean, you don't need that stuff, Harry. You just need, you know what you need? You need lots of walks in nature and pancakes, and that just solves everything. So you have the pancake first in the morning, and then you go off for a nature walk in the afternoon. What do you need drugs for? You don't need drugs. Okay, sometimes a glass of wine, okay, but you don't need drugs. Okay, I hope you guys are really having Harry and Meghan. I hope you're really having going to do your vineyard. I'm really excited about that. If not in Napa, you know what I was thinking? Why not have one in Africa? Like I was reading the other day, there's some vineyards in South Africa or something. So you just, find like a vineyard there or a partner who already has a vineyard and you rebrand Sentabale and you have the vineyard, you have the wine, you have the olive oil, you have, can you get olives in Africa? I don't even know. I think so, right? So you have the wine, you have the olive oil, but you can do so many other products, with all the byproducts like the soaps and the candles, Sentabale. Is it Sentabale or Sentabal? I don't know. But I digress. I digress. So, so Harry said he didn't want his dad to marry Camilla, and I'm sure if you're Camilla, you don't like to hear that. Apparently, Camilla turned Harry's room into a dressing room immediately as soon as he moved out. The fact that he mentioned it means that it hurt his feelings. I mean, you know, you know, I can understand on both sides. It hurt his feelings. I mean, this is not his mother, first of all. As soon as I move out, you change it into a dressing room. You couldn't even wait for me to leave, right? So even if I wanted to come back, there's no coming back. But on the other hand, with the empty nest syndrome that, these parents have, I've never had an empty nest syndrome because I've just, never had that situation. But I can imagine how they feel like, oh my God, there's nobody in all this big space. And, you want to reimagine and reinvent the space. But of course, the child feels like, oh my God, you couldn't even wait for me to leave. So there was that. What was one of the most interesting things was the idea of how his father was keeping him on such a tight leash financially, controlling his life, and then saying that he cannot afford to pay Meghan because the royal family is like a corporation, really. I mean, they're literally employed and paid by the royal family. So he's basically saying, I can't offer her a job, so she's going to have to get her income from elsewhere. And which is interesting because then they turn on Meghan and Harry when they actually went out and made their own money, right? And said that, oh, they're monetizing their titles, and they want to see Meghan and Harry, pauperized, poor and struggling and going on their hands and knees begging for money and being controlled by the person who controls the purse strings in their life. And Meghan and Harry instead have taken, what they had and created something else. I mean, look, the fact that they had these titles doesn't mean that they could have, bartered those titles if they were other types of people. I mean, it's the skill and the creativity of these two people that they took what they had and they're creating an empire with it. And it's not a foregone conclusion that, oh, you have a title, therefore you're interesting to people, and therefore you're able to monetize that title. It's not the title, it's Meghan and Harry. But it was interesting to note that Prince Charles III was, using the money to sort of control Harry. It's basically a way of expressing his disapproval with Harry's wife, because if Harry had married another woman, again, someone who did not have the DNA that Meghan has, I'm sure there would have been no question about him adding her to the payroll. So I'm really glad for Meghan and Harry that they went out there and they're creating their empire, and they just need to just keep going and climbing and succeeding and you know just focusing on the positive and not worrying about all of this other stuff. And Harry said that he learned that the Queen had died from the BBC, and that's kind of sad, isn't it? But Yeah, that's kind of sad. But, Queen Elizabeth II was going to die anyway. I mean, that's just life. Everybody dies. And it would be at some point, right? And so he knew that. And luckily he was in Europe. She was kind enough to wait until he came to Europe because on some level the spirit knows these things. I believe before we die our spirits begin to travel to the next life, and you become more reflective back on this life before you're even gone. And so she knew, so she waited. He came over to Europe. It would be easy for him to come over, but he missed it. She died before he got there, but he was there the same day, and that's so nice. And yeah, I think Harry's book, all in all, I think is a good thing that he's putting his story out there and not letting his story be written by these royal experts. And they distort the truth, and they stretch it, and they bend it into what they want it to sound like. And I think that as much as the British people feel that it's a betrayal, I think it's very important to just put it all out there and to stop the farce. It's a farce, what's going on in this family. At least some of it is. Some of it is not real. A lot of it is just outward appearance. It's a cover for other things that are not so fabulous. And that needs people need to know and make an informed decision. I mean, is this what you want as your sort of moral compass, as your leader? This monarchy that you put on a pedestal. I mean, are they worthy of that? Honestly, I mean, look at just look at the things they're doing to each other. You have the future king beating down his little brother because he disapproves of his brother's wife. I mean, they're just like us, right? And in that case, why are they royal, right? Why is this monarchy, you know, in the position it's in? You just give these people 6, 7, 8, 10 palaces, all this money, this, that, and the next, this pageantry, this pomp and circumstance. What does this all mean, right? And does it make sense for the world that we're in today? I don't know. And another point I wanted to make, and I made it on another video, but that video I had to cut it because it was too long. Well, my friend in Connecticut, Elizabeth, she made an interesting point about the King Charles III, being the head of the Church of England. I hadn't really thought about that, but he's the head of the church. It's like a pope, for God's sake. He's the head of the Church of England. And I feel like as a head of the church, he is in a very unique position of showing an example to the British people, an example of Christian love, an example of inclusion, an example of forgiveness, even. And I feel like, in terms of that aspect of his identity and his personality, he has failed to impress me with how he has reacted in this whole situation with his son and his daughter-in-law. I don't think he has set the right example for the British people. I think his silence is complicity. His silence is agreement with all that has been done and said about Meghan and Harry. And it is particularly unchristian. It is particularly unloving, especially because he is the head of the Church of England. And I mean, and I say this with all due respect because I don't want to disrespect the king. But if you are going to be a king, and William soon